Hello and welcome to another episode of the God Theory Podcast. This is episode 8. We're talking about religion and multi-level marketing. What's up, David? How's your week been?
Great, pretty great. What have you been up to?
Just kicking ass. No. I've been. So first of all, anyone who's watching on YouTube, I'm sorry. We get a decent amount of traffic there. Nah, that's not true. We don't get decent. We get some traffic there, depending on the episode. And man, I have just been. Today's been not a good day for looking nice.
No eye candy today, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, and for whatever your persuasion is, this is not the episode to watch. Why? Wait, hold on. Let me plug in my headphones because I don't want to get that crazy echo effect we got that one time. So stand by. But yeah, because I'm going to be a master tomorrow, David. A master.
A Jedi Master?
Not quite as cool. An academic master, which is basically as cool. Right?
Oh yeah, that's fun. People get really excited about that.
Yeah, no, not at all. And they don't even get excited in like my department or like anyone who knows me because they take it's just all paperwork, man. Like I finished my thesis probably like 2 years ago, minus the actual write-up of the experimentation. And now it's just like, it's a matter of like, they're like, come on, let's get this thing scheduled. Make sure everyone has the right schedule. And then we'll be all set up and then you'll be a master. And I'm like, anyway. So it's all paperwork. It's not near as glamorous as I thought it'd be.
Yeah,
I've been like a parade.
I've been a master for like 4 years now, and the only benefit I've gotten is when I go to high school graduations, I wear a slightly goofier looking robe.
There you go.
It's got little wings on it.
I don't know. Like I'll probably even never wear one of those. But anyway, the point is I'm defending tomorrow, right? And I for some reason, like it just slipped my mind this week, and all of a sudden I woke up today and I was like, I slept in, everything feels pretty good. And I was all of a sudden, everybody's had that feeling. Well, all of a sudden I was just like, my head shot up off the pillow and I was like, oh no, tomorrow I have to defend. I've done nothing to get ready for it. So I just shot up out of bed, didn't shower, didn't go to work out, nothing. I just started preparing slides and stuff of really boring statistics stuff. Just in case they ask, you got to have it ready.
Yeah, defending my thesis was one of the most disappointing experiences of my life because I was in there ready to defend it, and then it became very clear about halfway through that most of them hadn't read it.
Yeah. That happened on my proposal. He was like, I didn't read the whole thing, but I had a question about this methodology, and I was like, oh yeah, I addressed that like on around page 50 or 60, and they're like, oh, okay, well, it's good. What about this? And I'm like, yeah, irrelevant from previous literature. I cited it here, and he's like, oh, it's pretty much the whole thing. But now, we're just gonna be talking about the results, so I already defended the whole point of it in my entire intro, which is most of the paper. Now we're just gonna like pick fights about the discussion where I kind of elaborate, I guess, but whatever. I don't understand these things. You've been there. Apparently it's disappointing. So
yeah, well, I don't know. Our other podcast, one of the things people love the most is when we kept talking about your thesis. So
yeah, so maybe drop that. All right, good point. But so that's gonna happen. Maybe I can bring one of those little confetti guns, and just blast it off whenever they're like, all right, so you're good. Just because otherwise I'm like, what do I do now? I'm like, that's it. Just file this paperwork with the graduate school. So I'm gonna bring those little poppers and just like, that'll be my parade. That'll be it.
Just like throw beads at everybody.
Yeah. or flash everybody to get beads. I'll just put beads around each of their necks. And at the end, just be like, it'd be great.
Nice.
But anyway, so sorry about the unkemptness of myself. And David, you don't have an excuse though.
Yeah, it's Sunday and I'm not seeing anybody today, so fuck hygiene.
There you go. But that's not what we're here to talk about, man. We're here to talk about the God Theory podcast. So
yes, and first I have another This Week in Religion story.
Oh, cool. Let's hear it.
All right. Remember Pope Francis?
I've heard of him. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck that guy. So our famously liberal, supportive of gay rights Pope has barred the nomination of a close aide of President Francois Hollande as a new French ambassador to the Vatican because he is gay.
Wow.
Yep. So
because he's gay.
Yeah, the ambassador they want to send to the Vatican is gay, and so Pope Francis was like, yeah, nope, not having it. Which is sad because according to the French, this nomination was a wish by the president and a cabinet decision that the president regarded him as one of our best diplomats. French media widely reported that Mr. Stefanini, who is the ambassador, Laurent Stefanini, he's 54, senior diplomat, has been blackballed due to his homosexuality. Le Journal du Dimanche has quoted the Vatican insider as saying that the rejection was a decision taken by the Pope himself. Liberation, the left-leaning daily, said that the Vatican's homophobia seriously tarnishes Pope Francis's image as being slightly more open-minded than his predecessors on sexuality, which is strange because it's what I've been saying since day one. It's all talk and flash in the pan with him.
Yeah, that sucks. I think, you know, something I've noticed is that, and this is actually pretty cool, but that companies have really had to, and I do consider the Vatican a company because, you know, they've got like PR reps and everything. Customer service, they got all kinds of stuff, but companies in general have like really been more sensitive about their like public image, you know. Yeah, and so like people, like even one angry tweet can go viral, right? They're just afraid of that happening. So I kind of, you know, you get these people who are kind of acting like the face of these companies, and they're always acting good and nice to people, you know, like whoever your social media guy is. And here, I'm kind of wondering about that too. Like, is that what's going on?
Yeah, it sucks because this Stefanini guy, he's already been #2 in the French embassy at the Vatican for 4 years, and he was super discreet about his private life. It wasn't like he was going to gay pride parades, you know, rubbing their noses in it. And he was highly thought of in Roman circles, according to a Vatican specialist. And actually, even Cardinal André Ventois, he's a Parisian cardinal, he interceded personally with the Pope to back the nomination. So, like, even the French cardinals are like, come on, man, he's like a really good ambassador. Like, it doesn't matter that he's gay.
Wow. Jeez, that sucks, man.
Yeah, but this is the same Pope who compared transsexuals to nuclear weapons, so I guess we can't expect too much from him. Yeah. PR.
That's pretty incredible. Yeah, if you guys haven't heard that, you can go listen to that. I think it's episode 4, Screw the Pope, where I learned a lot about things I did not know. Because I know he gets a lot of positive press, man. Like, he's done some, you know, some good things.
He said some good things for sure, but he's done some bad actions.
Which is a big part of it. Unfortunately. Well, that sucks, but yeah, there's real world like implications of that. I'm sure he wanted to be an ambassador because it meant something for his career.
Yeah, it sucks that even in 2015 you can have like a high-ranking public job like that shot down just because of who he discreetly is attracted to.
Yeah. I mean, I'm attracted to you, and that doesn't change one thing. You know?
Yeah, no, it's true. Like Indiana won't even let us in the state anymore.
Did you hear the president's speech about that?
Him and Biden like, being so close they would serve him pizza.
Yeah, it's just like we're so close that in some states, like Indiana, they stopped serving us pizza.
Okay, so Obama, I've been kind of lukewarm on him, but like this, like end of his term, like fuck it, Obama, like he's really growing on me. This like where he just stops worrying about things. Yeah,
that angry translator, which you know, really, it's angry black translator, right? That's been used on the internet quite a bit, but they didn't say it there, which I thought, you know, okay, that's fine. Like they're probably just trying to be. They don't want to perpetuate that, especially with the racial climate the way it is right now, with between cops and, you know, yeah, I can see why he didn't do it. But that was hilarious. Getting like Peel up there, that's not Key, right? I think that, yeah, it's Peel. I think. Up there is the angry translator. Hilarious. Dude, that guy just ran out of fucks to give.
Yeah. He's like, do you have a bucket list? Well, I've got a list that rhymes with bucket.
Yeah, it was awesome.
He's like, this environmental reform? Bucket. It's the right thing to do. Yeah, so if you guys haven't seen that, it's the White House, what is that, the little correspondence dinner where he's basically just roasting himself and everybody else. He's a
funny guy. I'm a fan of Obama, although, you know, some of the policies are pretty shitty. I've been listening to that Dan Carlin, not Hardcore History, Common Sense podcast. Mm-hmm. And keeps it pretty real about bashing both sides. So it's good. Little more disillusioned with him, but dang, you can't not like the president personally, even if you don't like his policies.
Yeah, it's that I've got nothing to lose. I've got no one to appease. I'm at the end of my tenure. Let's just, you know, fuck it. Let's just do what we want. Like where he called out Michelle Bachmann for saying he was going to end bring in the biblical end times. He's like, wow, that's a legacy. They never got close to that.
He didn't even address it at the beginning of his term. He would have been like, well, here's the reasons why I don't believe that's true. And then like went through him. But in this one, he was like, wow. Badass.
And he couldn't even like say it with a straight face. He's like, Michelle Bachmann. He just started laughing and he's like, she says I'm gonna rush in the biblical end times. Like it's just, I love it.
Yeah, this guy, man. He's his administration has got him doing all the right PR for sure if he wants to win over the youth. Because I mean, he's showing up on like Jimmy Fallon and all these other shows.
Yeah, he was on Gaffigan's Between Two Ferns.
Yeah, yeah, pushing healthcare, which it worked. I bet. I'm sure the polls are showing that that's the case. Or I guess it's an assumption I have. But the guy's hilarious. Yeah. So, oh yeah, didn't you have another news item? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, I was just going to talk about the March for Marriage Equality.
Oh, yeah?
Or, no, not the March for Marriage Equality. The March for Marriage. I threw in the
Yeah,
equality there because I have a higher opinion of human nature than I should.
Yeah. This was not for human equality, for marriage equality.
No, there's this group called Americans for Truth, which can we just stop for a minute? Have you ever read George Orwell's speech about language being used and how it can be used to like shade meanings and hide atrocities?
No.
You're familiar with 1984, right? The whole doublespeak concept.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
He's got this whole speech about how words mean things and how we can hide like terrible things behind words and sort of blur the language. That Americans for Truth. Come on. Can you be more vague and less appropriate?
Yeah, making words like something you can get behind.
Like the war on terror.
Yeah, you don't want to be against that. You're like, no, I'm a defender of terror.
Well,
like,
nobody wants. I want to be for truth. Well,
you don't hate freedom, do you? Freedom is one of the worst about that, man. Like,
yeah.
How many times in the past couple of days on that one post about marriage equality?
Oh, God.
Remember, have I heard someone say, "Aren't we a free nation?"
Yeah. What about religious freedom? Well, I don't think you keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
Yeah.
So the Americans for Truth, who's done pretty much all their time is spent lying about LGBT people. So there's some fun little Orwellian irony there. They hosted this March for Marriage, hashtag March for Marriage thing. And Brian Brown, the head of it, tweeted, "This is the first hashtag March for Marriage that we don't have enough space. People are all around the stage. Thanks to all who are here in DC. Okay, so there's at the National Mall where they held this, there is room for 1.8 million people. You want to guess how many people were there to make it standing room only?
Well, I'm guessing 1.79 or so, right?
Yeah, 2,000 people is the estimate.
Wow, significantly less.
Yeah, so JT pointed out on his blog, whatwouldjtdo.com, he pointed out maybe he has faith that another almost 1.8 million people are present but invisible.
Oh, snap. The coup de grace.
Yeah. He says, Americans for Truth don't want to redefine marriage, but they apparently have no problems redefining truth.
Wow. There's so much shit that, like, I feel like is getting, ever since, like, social media and then everybody having a recording device in their pocket, there's so much stuff that feels like it's just being pulled back, the Wizard of Oz,
Oh, yeah, it's great. Because if you go to their Facebook page, it looks like it's packed. Like, there's these really close-up pictures of people standing around. And by the way, if you're going to do a march for marriage and everyone at your march is obese, maybe more marching and less standing around, because those guys can do a fun run. Maybe a fun run for marriage where they actually move. Because did you see those pictures? They were not in good shape. They were very pear-shaped. It was the pear-shaped portion of America that's against traditional or marriage equality.
Ugh, that's unfortunate.
Which there's a hypocrisy there, right? Like, they don't like gay marriage because they think two gays having sex is gross. Like, that's what it comes down to, right? They don't like to think about gross people having sex. But I don't want to picture any of them having sex, but I'm not banning their marriages. They are super gross looking. I do not want to picture them going at it. But I'm not voting against their ability to marry.
Yeah, man. I used to be against marriage equality before, whenever I was religious. I get it. You're thinking of, like, you get one exemplar in your brain of what you're going against, and it's these two guys making out in public and they're, like, having anal sex or something. I don't know. Yeah. And unprotected anal sex. And both of them have HIV. They're on the front lawn, and then there's kids involved because I don't understand
kids, because apparently that's
I don't because I don't understand sexuality. Like, I was like, no, and slippery slope of, like, they're gonna get down to my kids and whatever. And then you get but then like, you start testing that because, like, some of the girls, like, they don't seem to have a problem with that. Like, two women making out in public, they're like, well, this is okay. But, like, I don't know, just overall, I get just how many times when we went into that thread and we were talking about that, were you just shocked at the level of complete not knowing anything,
Oh,
ignorance.
so uninformed. They're like, this is not what the First Amendment says. This is against the law. I'm like, no, this is exactly what the law says. Like, you cannot discriminate. It's a protected class. Like,
Yeah.
it was amazing. But these pictures, they make it look like it's just packed because they're super close up. And so the internet, being the internet, they went on the Twitters and they took some more zoomed out pictures that show the whole yard, and it looks sparse. Like, there is nobody there at the marches.
Yeah, that's like that. Who was it? Was it Ted Cruz? Someone was giving like a campaign rally type speech, right? Where they go out there and they hurrah the troops or whatever, and then they've got these people kind of slavering, throwing their babies at them and that kind of thing, right? So
Right.
just people just sign my boobs everywhere, right?
Right, he's a rock star.
Absolutely nuts, yeah. And then of course, Reddit, being Reddit, someone was like, "Yeah, I work on the staff here, and here's the picture of the garage we're in, and it pulled back, and it's just like this one bus, with the back shot of the bus by him, and it's just a cement like block, right? It's like that Sims house we created in Sims where I wanted the square footage, but I didn't have any money for like any wallpapers or like a carpet, so we slowly drove ourselves mad. That's what this place was. It's there's like maybe, I don't know, 50 people surrounding this guy, just like throwing pamphlets at him and like going, yeah, just freaking out.
That's what I love about this is it's like you read these comments on Facebook and you look at these rallies and you see how they're in the minority now. Like, bigoted assholes are kind of dying out. They're not it's not socially acceptable. Like, anyone under 30 or even older than 30, right? Like, the millennials and younger just kind of sick of the shit. Like, they don't really want to see people discriminated against. And so these people who are used to being the majority or used to being in power are freaking the hell out. They're trying to pass these religious discrimination laws. They're trying to shout persecution whenever you call them out. They're like, "What? We can't disagree without being called bigots. That's persecution." Like, I get so much shade for it. I get so much pleasure in seeing their dying grasps as they lose power for good.
Yeah.
Like, it's inevitable. They're on the wrong side of history. Like, we're going to end up like Northern and Western Europe eventually. We're just 20 years behind.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I think the way that people used to hold control of power back then was you had money and you had influence, right? So if you have money, you have informational influence. Like, the government does this, right? Like, we don't pass out, I say we, I'm not a member of the army anymore, but we wouldn't distribute information if we thought it would harm our image, right? But now, when everybody has a recording device, all it takes is someone slipping up one time, and then you've got a scandal with someone, looking for gay sex in an airport, and he was a proponent of non-marriage equality, basically. And I just love it. It's a great equalizer, the information age. Like, one person on Twitter, an angry, angsty teen, can tweet something like, "Hey, I was called let's say a faggot by someone at Chick-fil-A, and I'm gay, and fuck your company." And guess what? That's probably going to start trending, because if you're a bigoted asshole right now, the populace, like us young people, we are not going to put up with that shit. Like, we're going to retweet that like crazy. It's just going to blow up. And so like they have to treat every person. There's no sweeping it under the rug anymore. You have to treat people like fucking people.
The world's watching.
Yeah.
And also being ignorant is a choice now. Like, somebody in that Facebook thread was like, "Oh, this is just like the Roman Empire falling. Like, this is the same thing. America's falling just the way the Roman Empire was." And I was like, "What? The Visigoths are going to invade from Canada? Like, do you know anything about history? Like, I'm going to go on a limb here, and you've never been into the classical history. Like, you didn't take any classes." And they get all pouty. They're like, "Well, watch the news, man. There's barbarians everywhere in our own country." And I feel like nowadays, you can't be ignorant. Like, there's no more tolerance for it. Like, being ignorant is a choice. There's podcasts, there's free classes you can audit online. Like, Yale web streams their classes. Like, if you want to know something about the fall of Rome, that's so easy to do. Like, it takes 15 minutes with Google and you could learn like the basics of it, or you could take a class for free. Like, being an idiot is a choice now. So I don't feel like I have to hold back anymore. Like, if you're going to say something factually wrong, I'm like, "No, fuck you. Go get educated. It's free. You're on the internet already."
If you've got a voice anywhere, like, maybe on this podcast, we probably only have like 100 people so far on our first one, or 200 listening. But like in our other one, we've got, thousands. And like, before I say something, I typically go, "Hold on." And I just real quick open up another tab, look it up. Yeah. And go, "Okay, no, that was a thing." Because people will fucking correct you, because they'll do it if you don't do it. So I think,
and you can fact check yourself in real time now. There's no excuse to just being blatantly wrong.
Yeah, it's a problem whenever you're starting like web pages and like foundations to put out your own statistics. Like Mormons do this with Farm.
Yeah.
What was that? The family. What's it called?
Foundation, ancient research into Mormonism or something.
Okay. Yeah, and they come up with their own statistics, and then you've got like the family. What's that called? Focus on the family.
Focus on the family, located in my town right now where I'm working.
Yeah, they use their pseudoscientific bullshit to like produce statistics so that they can get a citation. Because guess what? Citations are wanted now. People are like, yeah, where's that citation? And yeah, I love it. I love the fact that like the information age is the great equalizer. The fact that like anyone, anywhere can be the start of a massive movement. It really is just like the Vox Populi, you know?
Yeah, and if you're wrong, that's a choice you've made, and like that's on you. Like used to be like, well, they didn't know any better. The library was closed that day. No, if you're wrong, that's on you. You should correct yourself or get corrected and stop being pissy when someone points it out.
Ugh, and I love how so people, this is akin to people starting their own foundation so they can make their own statistics. Is that people will also, you know, hate on they're like, oh, well, that's Wikipedia, which is liberal. And I'm like, what?
Truth has a bias? What?
Yeah, Wikipedia, yeah, it's got its faults. I'm a scholar, I know, and it sucks. I get it. But it's really helpful for anything like just average level, whatever you want to know. You're not going to be a specialist by reading Wikipedia, but you'll get a good idea of the field.
Yeah, it's fairly accurate. I mean, it gets constantly edited by experts, so it's not like a peer-reviewed journal, but for just lay stuff, like what year did the Roman Empire fall? Like Wikipedia is probably not going to steer you wrong.
How did they fall?
How did they fall? Was it gay marriage or was it the fucking Visigoths? Like, come on.
That's weird. They rose to power with plenty of acceptance of gay people. So, or at least
and at the height of the Roman Empire, it was pagan. Like it fell when it was Christian. So I don't know what you're trying to say. Like America becoming less Christian. That was the dominant religion when Rome fell.
And that really is true. That like ignorance is like a willful thing at this point. Because I mean, with cellular devices and everything.
Yeah, and if you're having this debate on Facebook, you already have the internet. It's not like you're one of the 1% of America that doesn't have access to it.
Right. Yeah. So really, I mean, it goes to how we pass on information, right? Or like when we talked about the elaboration likelihood model, you know, a while back on why believers don't listen, I believe is what the episode was called. Mm-hmm. It's just that like we hear a fact coming in, we don't fact check it unless it goes against something we believe otherwise, right? And then we go, and our fact checking, our natural cognitive bias is to look for ways that's wrong, which is a fallacy. You know, if you poke one hole in it, it's false dichotomy. It doesn't mean the other guy's that you're instantly right. Your idea supplants that idea for free.
It's not like a coin. You're just flipping it over and now you're right.
Yeah, you can't be like, it's not heads, therefore, because it's not heads. It's like like a 20. It's a polyhedron dice or something. You know,
exactly.
20-hydron
might be a critical hit. Might be a 1. You don't know.
Yeah, showing some nerd bias there, but you get the point. Yeah. Okay. So maybe it's not exactly that, or whatever. We all know how fallacies work, but I love how now, like you can just direct someone to anywhere. I feel like philosophy is kind of falling off. I don't know if that's true, but there's a lot less conjecture now because you're like, no, let's find out. You just click something and science is there to answer the question.
Show me the data. Okay, well, there's data. I don't know. I feel like it's a generational thing. I think that we have, like our generation and younger are kind of being raised more to trust data and scientific consensus. Like you don't see a lot of climate deniers who aren't in their 50s or 60s.
Yeah, that's true. And you see the same reform in religion for gay rights. I mean, I see a lot of young people posting about, this.
A lot of young Christians who are like, yeah, Jesus never mentioned gays. Like, let's just love each other.
Yeah, what the hell, guys? And I'm like, oh, you don't get a what the hell us. No. We didn't make this a big deal. That was your generation above you and the one before that. They think that this is perfectly wrong. And they're like, well, no true Scotsman fallacy, so they're not real Christians.
Yeah, the no true Christian fallacy.
Yeah, which happens a lot, unfortunately. But
even like younger religious people are getting more, like the majority of America under 30 are pro gay rights. So this is a battle they're losing. Like it's already over. They just need to kind of let it go. They're not winning any like converts with this.
Yeah, you see this whole doomsday thing that, like, frankly, it feels pathetic to me that whenever they're like, "Oh, this used to be a great nation. Look how," oh, they're like, "Welcome to America, 2015." I saw that like
I
in the
know, like they're
comments so
nostalgic
often.
for Jim Crow. Like America's better than it ever has been. Oh, remember back in the '50s when you could just slap your wife around and no one could tell you otherwise. Like I don't
I
know where this like looking back to this golden age of like being a white asshole. Like yeah, it was great to be a white male back then, but let it go, bro.
Yeah, yeah, chill. Yeah. Oh man, I remember I used to be able to spit on my wife in public, man, or slap a lady in public. Yeah, I
Man,
do. That was shitty.
but do you remember pre-America when we could just stone adulterers? Like those were the days.
Yeah, yeah. That was an interesting point you made the other day when I think we were on air when you did it when you said I think I could discriminate between two groups with one question. Would you rather live in the future or the past? And then you're going
Right.
to get like people who are socially progressive and those who are
Yeah, because
conservative.
we both look for this
Christians.
idealized time. It's just the left thinks it's in the future and the right thinks it's in the past. It might not be anywhere. You know, maybe the future will be shitty too, but you can kind of tell their political leanings by where they think this utopia was or will
Dude,
be.
something I've noticed is this. I feel like this is a recent trend. Is seeing like these kind of super patriot people. I don't even like saying that. That's a little too friendly, but kind of like these constitution nut people. You know, that would
Like
be
the
their
original intent kind of thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. People who are kind of rewriting history that like the founding fathers were all Christians and they wanted a Christian nation. I feel like a lot of them are dressing up like colonial times. Have you seen this?
No, or they're cosplaying founding fathers.
Are you serious? Yes, dude. It's all over.
Like
Okay,
I've
maybe
I've
that's
seen
just
some
me.
Tea Party like things where they do that, but is that like a
Yeah.
thing, like an overall trend?
I don't know. I'm not part of that movement, so I don't know. But like, I see pictures on the internet, and I'm like, "The hell are you doing? This, yeah, cosplay. Like, wait, can I dress like a Viking now? Because I have some Nordic roots. That's just. I mean, it's
And again,
awesome.
those guys were awesome, but also slave owners. Like maybe we should look forward and not idealize the past that much.
Yeah, like if somebody was like, "Hey, I've got a suit of armor. You want to wear this?" I'd be like, "Fuck yes, I want to wear that suit of armor," and I'd put it on. But I know that back then people were just racist, sexist as shit, and ignorant.
Yeah.
Like I don't buy the whole culture. I just think it's awesome to dress like that.
Yeah,
Same thing
it's
with
sweet.
Vikings.
I don't want to go rape somebody, but
Yeah,
it's fun to wear armor.
yeah, or like, yeah, like Vikings especially. Like I don't want to rape and pillage, but hell yeah, or take child slaves. But I look awesome, you know.
Yeah, it's
And
weird. I'll never get the nostalgia for the good old days because read Better Angels of Our Nature. It's one of my favorite books, but it basically plots out the history of violence in humanity, and things are better now than they've ever been. Always, even if
oh,
you're
how
like,
about
even if you're like World War II, yeah, Genghis Khan, man, Genghis Khan, like worse than World War II.
wait? So you don't want to like if you don't want to read a book because I understand like reading an entire book every time someone gives you a suggestion to do that. Nobody can do that. Nobody can keep up with that. Just go play Oregon Trail. Shit sucked, bro. Like
You get
I died in
dysentery and you die. You know
Yeah.
why? Because science wasn't a big thing back then.
Modern medicine just is all about it, and
Yeah.
that's I hate how every generation is going to have to fight this fight of like, hey man, we're we're progressive or we're Christians and no Christian would hold back gay rights. Whenever you're like, no, they just did, and same thing with science. Like, dude, stop with this crap about like religion can't be cool with science. And I'm like, no, go look at Galileo. Dude got fucked. Like,
I know
there's
it's
all
like
these
with
people.
slavery, right? Like you talk to a religious person about slavery, and like, no, dude, look, it was religious people's ministers leading the charge on abolition. It's like, yeah, but they were fighting religious people. Like they were both using the same Bible to fight that battle out. It wasn't like there were atheists around back then. So
That's
like,
a base rate problem. That's like in video game research. We can't find anyone who doesn't play games now of some kind, right? Same
everyone
thing with
was
like when
religious almost.
they did that study in I believe it was Michigan where they tried to find people who weren't like young males of their college in college who weren't looking at porn and who hadn't ever done it, and they're like they couldn't find any. It's a base rate problem now. You can't compare two populations. So it's the same thing here. It's like yes, they were religious. Everybody was. It's slowly been dying off, but you couldn't walk out in public. You still can't and walk out and be like, hey, I'm an atheist. Hey guys, what's up? Like without getting a lot of kickback. I know we walked through those streets, man, and everybody's wearing those, or not. I guess you weren't there, but at the American Atheist Convention, people wearing those atheist shirts, and broke my heart, man. Seeing people react to them.
Yeah, I would love to see a study where people just walk around with atheist shirts in Mississippi or Alabama, and track how many negative interactions they have with people, just unsolicited negativity, and then have a control group or something of the people wearing like "I love Jesus" shirts in I don't know Norway or Sweden or someplace that's largely irreligious. And track the negative interactions they have, because I don't know, this study doesn't exist that I'm aware of, but I suspect the atheist people in the Christian communities would have a much harder time, which points to a larger problem of, if Christ is all about turning their cheek and being cool with people, why are people such dicks in his name?
I feel like it's a fundamental problem with this system because, okay, if you assume that you're somehow getting better whenever with the acceptance of Jesus into your heart or whatnot, then I feel like you can't help but look down on people who haven't, right? Like that's necessary. I'm pretty sure, like that you have to look at them as somehow inferior because you're like, oh, that could have been me. Why is that a tragedy?
But by the same token, I can't help but feel that people who are religious are a little deluded. Like it's kind of an arrogant position. Like it's a little bit looking down on them. Like I try not to treat them any differently, but in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, but they're under a delusion. But I just don't be a dick about it to their face.
Yeah. And I mean, you just have to act tolerant. Like that's the thing. It sucks. Everybody's been in that position where you go into something like I can't. Oh man! So go to like any thread on Facebook or Reddit. Well, Reddit's actually there's a lot of free thinkers there, but like let's do Facebook because that's a pretty representative sample at this point. Most people have Facebook. Go on there and look at like a religious thread and then say a dissenting opinion and watch how quickly people will call you the worst things in the world.
Oh I had to report like 5 comments in that thread we were looking at this morning just because it was like hate speech. It was like all those fags need to die. I want to poison them with AIDS needles.
Oh like, man, whoa. I know that's what they're saying. Another one said it was straight up advocating murder. It says, can we seriously just kill off these gays and lesbians and kick them out of our country? And I was like,
yeah, it was not gentle Jesus, meek and mild. It was like pissy Jesus, that fig tree needs to die, turning over tables at the temple kind of mean Jesus.
Yeah, so when I see people try to not equivocate, make these two groups equivalent in their, like, oh, they're just extremists. I'm like, yeah, but no. I mean, I don't think that's true. In my experience, it's been and go figure, the privileged group is a little more toxic at anybody pushing on their position than the people who, if you're a minority, you really don't have that luxury. You can't be a dick, because you're already getting... And I know win over people.
I know a lot of Unitarians and Anglicans who are really chill. They're like, yeah, gay rights is cool. Like, I don't want to impose my religious beliefs on people. And they don't understand my pushback against organized religion. They're like, yeah, it's done nothing but good in my life. We just help people. We don't hate people. And I'm like, I get it, but you're not the general rule. Like, you're an outlier. Living in the Bible Belt, living in like Colorado Springs, like I'm surrounded by the more hate-filled Christians. Like these are the people. If everyone was Anglican or Unitarian, I probably wouldn't have a huge problem with religion, but that's not the case.
Yeah, to me, it's been, and like I'm fairly young in this whole thing, but I imagine that some of our listeners have the same thing. It's been my experience that they're the minority is people who are like, oh, you don't believe? That's cool. Let's still hang out and everything, and they just keep talking, or like, oh, when did that start? Oh, that's cool. And then just leave you alone, not try to convert you, not try to tell you that's wrong, not give you weird looks, not go silent all of a sudden, not
vote
say
for you to
something
not
horrible.
have any rights.
Yeah, like these aren't the people that I'm encountering on a regular basis. They're typically this. Now, maybe this is different. Obviously, in other parts of the world, I don't know how many international listeners we have on this podcast, but
yeah, I'm talking America. I think that religious people in England or Sweden, like they don't have the political power to be dicks, and they've just kind of adapted to be cool with people because maybe it's just a matter of can and can't.
Yeah, it's normative influence in psychology. It's what we call that. It's over time the douches are going to get kind of pushed out, as the majority exerts its influence over and over. But that's working inversely against us people who don't believe. It's like this majority is slowly like trying to push this whole like. Is this new? This whole Christian movement of like, let's put God back in, like,
yeah. There's actually I just read an article about like a PR company they hired to like bring this to turn around because there's this history of like homosexual discrimination, for example. Like it's clear and undeniable, like violence, discrimination, hatred, like up until recently, like that was the standard. You didn't get in trouble for saying like a homosexual slur, and they hired this like think tank. And now they're spinning it. They've managed to try and rewrite history to where it's like the homosexuals that are persecuting them this whole time. Like it's amazing how they think that we're not going to remember that. They're like, oh, like with these gay bakeries, right? Like they're like, oh, they're picking fights. They're trying to get us to sell things so we can get sued. Like whatever happened to tolerance? Like they've twisted it to where they're the victims, and it's working on a lot of people. It's mind-boggling. It's really again George Orwell. Like it's very doublespeak and the memory hole and everything else in 1984.
What the fuck? That's
yeah.
fucked up. Like,
yeah.
man, it's hard to be a humanist whenever so many people
Are
constantly
shitty.
let you down. Yeah. Like I
Yeah.
try to,
I'm optimistically
I don't
humanist,
know,
but
man.
sometimes I feel like humans are the worst.
Yeah, I regularly. No, I don't. I'm in a field where I try to help people and get and they can be. So it's easy to buy stuff like people who are coming in to improve their lives. You know, I see some people who are struggling and want to get better and want the best for themselves and people around them. So
And they're just saying the worst
just
things. Like Scott Lively on TV just said, "We need an angry mob surging through the streets to stop gay marriage." Like, what is that? That's not. That's not the love one another thing that they like to tout when they're talking about Christianity.
I don't
Or
know,
that priest on
man. Well,
Fox
yes, I
News, Father Jonathan Morris, who said that you can't trust an atheist as president because they're not afraid of hell. Like, they just say clearly bigoted things, and it's like if we said like I can't trust somebody as president who believes in imaginary friends, like I'm an asshole for saying that.
that's weird, man. I don't know.
I don't know.
I feel like our topic's kind of meandered away, but from
Sorry, it's just this is just what's exploding on social networking right now, and it's it's this
yeah,
whole it's not prejudice if you can call it religion movement that's taken over.
yeah, that's pretty weird. And anything that can be twisted away. Remember we talked about the psychology of victimhood, didn't we?
Yeah,
On here, yeah, I think it was our third episode or so. And it's all really about the fact that if you can be painted as an underdog or a persecution or someone who is persecuted, that's great. And in fact, they do this in sports where they'll be like, "Oh, hey, so let's say you've been just beating the shit out of everyone, every basketball team for a long time, which is what happened with like the Bulls, for example.
yeah.
Whenever I was younger,
Or
in
the
90s.
Yankees, the damn Yankees.
Yankees, yeah, or you get the Lakers before that, and the Lakers previously, or recently, somewhat recently, they were just on this tear, right? Soon they were like, oh, they're trying to dethrone our empire, right? Oh man, these people, they're trying to get an upset. They're trying to take away what we've rightfully earned, this spot at the top. Everybody using that language of trying to make someone, a little less, because nobody likes someone who's just been a like a tyrant or someone who's been on top forever.
Yeah, someone who's had a little power. It's hard to root for that guy.
Yeah, just as like you got jealousy involved, you got a lot of things, but so everybody's using this narrative at this point, and it's powerful. We talked about it in that episode, the effects of it. But god damn, I get sick of it, especially with this specific context, like the bakery thing. I'm like, they broke. I don't know how many times I wrote this. Yeah, they broke. Period. The period law. Period. That you all voted in. You voted a law in. They broke it, and so the judge was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, you broke the law."
They're not
like,
the victims. they're really not. You can't be the victim if you're the one that broke the law. Like you have to change the law if that's the case.
Yeah. Oh, it's the wildest thing. I don't know, man. People.
Yeah, it just blows my mind that they can make like the biggest the biggest most persecuted minority we've known as a country since Jim Crow, and they can make them into the bullies here.
Yeah, it's really crazy. And I think it's more of a modern tactic. Before we used to, as a nation, we kind of favor the underdogs, but before we used to be more of like, Superman was our favorite, hero, is our national icon, Captain America, no challenges, you're the Ubermensch, like the idea of like you can be the super person, and we all strove to be that. But now I think we've really started to gain some compassion, and so we look at people who are younger and need help, or not younger, sorry, people who are disenfranchised, and we're trying to help them, and so now everybody wants a piece of that pie, and it's insanity.
Yeah, the anti-gay right is like painting this portrait of victimhood in anticipation of like further LGBT progress, and it's just couldn't be further than the truth. Like you can't be the victim when you're the aggressor.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. It's just true. Like using like I hate when people use psychological principles against other people. Like it just bugs me. It doesn't feel like a fair fight because it's like having a gunfight in the dark. Like if you don't know what the other guy's doing, then it's not fair. And a few of us who have been fortunate enough to study this, or I don't know, fortunate enough. If you're interested in psychology, like I am, then it's fortunate. But you see it, and it's just they know about it, and the other person doesn't. So it's really like fighting a guy that's blindfolded.
They've been portraying LGBTs as like these sexually aggressive miscreants who like prey on children for the past like 40 years, and then suddenly they're trying to like rewrite history to where it's the anti-gay groups that are the suffering victims of the culture war.
And not in the cool DuckTales kind of way, rewrite history, but like really assholeish.
And they're not solving mysteries either.
Yeah, and they don't have a cool launch pad to work with. So
yeah, what were we even going to talk about this episode?
Most of them are marketing, I think.
All right, well, we should do that for next week because this just ended up being a rant on like the fucking hypocrisy of the religious right.
It makes it hard. Like each time you see this, each time you run into these things, being someone who's kind of just getting into this. Like JT's been big part of our life for a while, and he's been doing this, like he's been out in the trenches for a while. So he became
like 10 years or so. Like he's been doing it.
Yeah, longer than that if you count like back when like he used to blog on Zanga, he and I, and we'd regularly go at it. But because I was an apologist at the time, religious apologist, and two separate sides of the philosophy. But he's always been my best friend, man. Well, not my best friend, that's you, but one of my best friends.
Take that, JT.
Suck it, JT. Suck it. No, I got violent quick.
I got dark. Yeah.
No, but like it's becoming more and more sour. Are you finding yourself that way too?
Oh, just like jaded and bitter.
Yeah, like these.
Yeah, I think I got there faster because I've been an atheist for less time, but I've lived abroad so much. Like half of my adult life has been out of the country, so I've seen how other countries can be. And this is the best, is where they'll complain like, "Oh, this is what America's becoming. Like if we turn away from God, America's gonna get worse and worse." And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. I've been in Sweden and Norway and Finland and Canada. Like if you look at the happiest countries in the world, the one common thread is that they're not religious. And if you look at Iran and Saudi Arabia and Cambodia and all these places that are really superstitious or really religious, like they are the least happy countries in the world. Iraq. So if anything, turning away from God is just going to be awesome for America. I don't know what this like. What's America becoming doom and gloom bullshit is.
No, that's there's wow, I just had a complete brain fart for what I was going to say, but it was along the lines of the Finland thing, or the different places without religion. God, what was it?
Yeah, Japan, Northern Europe, Western Europe, like these places, they just every measurable statistic they're doing awesome at, and they've given up God a long time ago, and He has yet to smite them. If anything,
I remember what it was. It's a more pragmatic like philosophy. It's towards the same thing. You're both trying to work towards utopias, right? A theocracy and
for the good life,
and a humanist. Yeah, you're just taking two different measurements. One is like how holy are we, and that's supposed to trickle down to like behaviors, and the other one is just directly measuring behavior. So you go, hey, I want to increase people's generosity. Let's do some studies on how to increase generosity, rather than I want to increase people's generosity. Okay, let's up religiosity. Like that's a non sequitur. That doesn't necessarily mean that once we get religiosity,
it's hoping people will be better the more religious they are, and it's also hoping that there's a supernatural entity that's going to bless your country as a whole, right? Like God will turn away His blessings if we turn away from Him. Well, fuck that. God has turned. Every other country that's turned away from God has been fine. So either God is marvelously inept. He's like, oh, I think they want more school shootings. Like He's not good at giving blessings to America as it is. Like the Civil War, like historically we've been really religious and God has had fuck all to do with us. Yeah. So maybe we'll just go with what all the atheist countries are doing and just enjoy the fruits of our own labors instead of waiting for this imaginary paycheck.
Yeah, it's weird. And being a social scientist in particular, like it bugs me because I'm like, why would you measure that through like a third variable? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like if you're going to measure, for example, they do this in violent video game literature. They measure aggression by way of, or real world violence by way of a laboratory aggression measure. One of which would be this on a piece of paper. It'll say XPLO and then two blanks. So you can make the word explore or explode, right? And they are saying, oh yeah, that correlates with real world aggression, and they have yet to demonstrate that. And in fact, we've shown that it doesn't over time because there's enough skeptics who, like myself, who were like, yeah, wait, what? Video games may prime you to think more about explosions.
You played a game full of explosions, and then you had explosions on your mind.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean you don't blow anything up.
Yeah, we know that's a principle. We know that you can prime people for certain words, but we don't know if that actually relates. So that's, Occam's razor says we should cut this down and be like, no, it probably doesn't. You must demonstrate that, which they failed to. So, and we have multiple times done experiments with tight controls with no results. So we're pretty sure it doesn't exist. Right. But same thing here. I'm like, why would you measure that? Just measure real world violence. For example, take like troubled youths and then, take the two and then measure them over time. If one starts playing more video games, you should see an increase in real world violence and, be getting in trouble with the law. And if the other one isn't, and their violence should remain constant if they're not playing video games, or maybe it'll go up or down for some other thing. So measure a lot of things, but it's just weird to me that to increase happiness or increase all these different variables, you're going to go through one kind of moderator. It's just weird to me.
It is weird.
I don't know.
And yeah, those top 10 happiest countries, they might be happy from some other reason, right? Like it might not be, religiosity might have nothing to do with it. It could be their healthcare system, their sociology. But I think the underlying root of things that keeping us from going that direction tend to be the Christian right, like that's who is always trying to stop us from going in that direction. So I don't know. I would be very surprised if it didn't have any causative.
Well, and there's a whole party. It's called conservative. And what's funny is it reminds me of like in 30 Rock where the guy goes, "Oh, I don't vote." And he's like, "You don't vote?" And he goes, "No, I vote. I just write in God under it and I put an X." He goes, "Yeah, we count those. That's Republican." It's there's a whole party that has historically always been on that side.
It's called liberal, which means like open to change, opening to finding new and better ways, and conservative, which means we want things the way they used to be. Like that's just a no-brainer, right? Like if you're not willing to update your information and change, if you love tradition, if you love things just because they're old, how is that a good idea?
I don't know. It's insanity. I just like the fact that, the microphone has been taken away from, the old white rich folks, which is, a little stereotypic, but it's almost always true. And given it back to the people of like I'm saying, like these huge uproars over like police brutality comes from one person, right? From one person very sadly dying, and then police brutality in particular has been something I'm passionate about.
Did you see the story where the Swedish police officer was like on vacation in America, and he's like,
"Oh look,
here's how you subdue someone without killing them. Just FYI."
And what's funny is, and you're gonna get this, like people are like, "Oh, what if he's not?" Now all these people are gonna start screaming, "I can't breathe," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, but okay, that's going to happen occasionally," but that's like someone saying, "Oh, now these people are going to threaten suicide." You can't not take them seriously. And also, they're like, "Oh man, you just don't understand how to hold people down." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. I only had to do it with competence in Iraq. Yes, I do know how to hold people down, including people who have lethal intent. But more importantly, you can do it without that. You can just," and that's what happens in this video. Like the guy's like, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe." And I suspect, and I'm not sure, this is kind of shitty of me, but I suspect he could breathe. He was just trying to get, I don't know, maybe some attention because he saw people recording. But guess what? It's a win-win. Like if you're a skeptic and you think this guy's actually not being real, then your method works. Being kind works. Because they're like, "Are you okay?" He's like, yeah. And they're like, "Okay, well just
you can still restrain him without choking him." Turns out, either way.
Yeah. What the fuck? Yeah. I don't get it. And these people, we have a cop that comes into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with me, and he says that a lot of people know these joint lock techniques and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I can restrain people hundreds of ways, and they've been taught to. Why does the choke? A choke is the worst way to restrain someone, because guess what they're going to do if they can't breathe? They're going to struggle. They're going to freak
out.
Yeah, but if you just hold someone in a simple lock, like there's all kinds of positions, I won't worry about it. But then it's not a big deal. So I got sick of people. In this day and age, you just, like you said, ignorance is a decision. I'll post videos and be like, "Here's how you do it," and you can't just bullshit me. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
I love the invention of the camera phone. Just changed everything. Changed the game. Exposing police brutality, showing these like we talked about earlier, some of these party.
Like this kind of 2 million mom march where there's like 1,000 people there.
Yeah. It's just changed the game. Like before, everybody could be like, can't prove it, and then that ended that, and people just continue believing what they believe. But I really do think that. It's what it is, the Vox Populi. Like it's it changes the game.
You can't stop the signal, Mal.
Yes. Can't have an episode without some kind of Firefly reference.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I guess this one took a wildly different turn. I'll change the title of it on the YouTube video and also in the podcast. But I guess we could talk about some of the feedback. I forgot to check. We didn't get any email, but we got some activity on Twitter, which is not that big of a deal, so I wasn't going to mention any of it, but people were kind of pretty excited about the podcast, which I like, and they said keep it coming, which we intend to.
And so we shall.
Yeah, thanks for everyone who listens. Thanks for everyone who gives positive feedback of any kind. You could consider giving us an iTunes review on iTunes, of course, or Stitcher, depending on where you get your content from. We distribute through a couple different people, so it helps our kind of visibility. It's like a whole algorithm thing going on. I'm not even pretending to understand it, but we appreciate it. There's some math involved.
Numbers.
I hate it how, this is a small pet peeve of mine. I won't push this too much, but when people act like they understand something and they don't, and they're like, I will get into it. It's
a whole thing. I'm going to try and just walk you through it. And they give you like the bare minimum, which is actually what they actually understand.
Yeah.
Basically what it is like, basically, or is this all you understand about it?
Yeah. That bugs me because it comes with the implication that you're not quite bright enough to, or I don't want to waste your time with something that I find interesting that you probably wouldn't because I'm so super smart.
Yeah,
kind of bugs me. But anyway, yeah, thanks for joining us. And we'll change the topic to probably like Vox Populi or something. So
we'll think of a cool name.
Yeah, but thanks again, and we'll see you guys next week.